Hello, good morning, and welcome back to this channel. It's when I'm in places like this that I'm truly reminded of why I believe in multiple gods. Here we have these beautiful, amazing mountains covered in snow, each one with their own unique story to them, ancient Gaelic names here in Scotland. And then, of course, the beautiful stream running through the valley that's been carving away on this glen in this valley for thousands of years. And then behind these clouds is the unconquerable power of the sun, this gigantic ball of fire raging through space, keeping us in its orbit, that keeps us warm and gives us life. And I'm just looking at all of this, and for me, I can't look at all this and say, well, this is all God's design. I know some people find peace in that, but to me, that's an oversimplification of the beauty of our natural world. I think deities are kind of like a reflection of where we are as a species. And the hunter-gatherer days, yes, we would have been worshiping hunting gods and gathering gods and gods of the woods and the wildlands. Like, that's what we would have been worshiping. During the agriculture days, we would have been worshiping gods of prosperity, gods of fertility, gods of the harvest. And then as we transitioned more into like the warring days, we had more war gods as far as like the conflicts between the Romans, the Celts, the Germans. And then as we transition more into this identity of power, leaders in particular really got attracted to this consolidation of power. We see that the Norwegian kings, the Danish kings, the Swedish kings, they wanted to consolidate power. And so they became Christian because that was the way to control people and have the most power over people and the land. And so it became about power. And now I think what we're in this world is a transition away from understanding that power is corrupting, and we see the corruption of our world, and we want to return to an older understanding of our relationship with nature. You know, I'm basically 30 at this point. A lot of people in my generation and older are seeing that this desire to dominate and control and be superior to nature is not the way we should be living. It's not the way that we live in harmony and togetherness with our world and with each other. This is not sustainable. This monotheistic worldview of there's one God, which means we're also the chosen of God that's above everything else. That doesn't resonate with me at all, because I see myself in harmony and balance and equality with all of this. And if anything, I'm not equal to this. This mountain is better than me. This stream, this river is better than me. It's good for humans to feel small. And I know, again, some people get that with Christianity, but to me, it's much more impactful that we feel that way to our general life. And I know another thing in like the Celtic world is rivers and streams are also seen to be gods and goddesses. I'm going to be talking about a video here soon about the ancient gods of Scotland. One of the only things we can go off of as far as that is the rivers, because we know that in the ancient Celtic, Gaelic world, that rivers were seen as deities. But we may not know the names of these ancient gods sometimes, but we can still look at this and revere it as mountain. Revere this as river. That is sun, as this is earth. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. So maybe I'll add in here as well into this video of saying, like, what do I think gods such as Odin fit into this equation? Or Thor, or these deities that I've talked about for years. For me, I connect to Odin by living this life, of having sold everything to meet people, to come to places like this to interview people and hear about their stories. And then there's more ambiguous things, such as connecting through Freya because of magic, or Frigg with, you know, Seidr magic and the weaving of fates and childbirth and all this stuff. And so I think there's kind of this equal connection between the power and beauty of nature and what we might see in that and the godliness in these things. And then I think there's a great power in connections to the self, connections to histories as well, of just understanding, you know, heroes and the importance of heroes and archetype. Like Odin, for instance, my personal concept and idea is the ultimate personification of intuition. And through having life experiences, we connect more and more with our intuition, which connects us more and more to Odin. And so I think each of the gods have these kind of elements. And so I know a lot of people connect to Thor through working out, through physical exercise and strength. And this is their way of connecting to Thor. Or, you know, being out in the wilds or in the mountains is a way to connect to Ullr or Skadi, which is one of the reasons I think we've kind of lost these connections, is because we stopped being in the wilds. And so we stopped hearing about these deities of the wilds. So this right here is why I'm a polytheist. or an animist, whatever you want to say. For those wondering the difference, a polytheist essentially sees there's gods, multiple gods to worship. An animist sees a godliness in everything. And I think it's a balance because our ancestors didn't have these terminologies. There weren't Scandinavians running around or people in this valley who were Scots saying, we were animist, we are polytheist. Like, that's not how the ancients thought. And so yes, if we live in an environment where we've stripped away the mythology created by mankind, created by the gods, and you only have nature, I think what you are left with is animism. But when you add in the mythology, I think that's when you start getting more of a polytheistic belief. You start developing more concrete ideas of what gods are and have stories of, Scotty coming down the mountain and things like that. And I didn't want this to become a polytheistic versus animist because these terminologies ultimately don't mean anything to me. Call yourself whatever you want. Call me a polytheist, call me an animist. At the end of the day, what I love and what makes me just so passionate about this revival of ancient spiritualities, of paganism, is standing in places like this. Who am I making this video for, I suppose? It's just to fire you up, to make you passionate, to show that everyday life, I'm, an avid hiker. People love hiking in this valley, and, I just saw this stream on the side of the road and knew I had to stop. Is take those moments in your life to not just take a picture, to not just snap the selfie or take a picture of the mountain, which I see so many people here do. They drive to the little viewpoint, they take the picture, and then they walk away. It's almost like they're just filling their feeds with social media posts showing what they've done. Instead, escalate that. Stop for a moment in reverence. Pray to these mountains. Give an offering to them. Tell them your problems. Tell them the story of your life. Something I've been reading a lot lately is on Vision Quest. And Vision Quest, that's one of the big things, is basically just telling the story of you to the mountains, to the forests, to the trees, to the birds, and seeing what they say back to you. Because they do talk to us. Nature talks to us. It's just we've lost our way of understanding nature. And that's one of the other things I think is really big about this return to spirituality and this return to the natural world, is it's a return to our ability to communicate and understand nature. This mountain will be here long after I die. This mountain talks very quietly and very slowly. And you can't just snap the picture and walk away and get the full conversation. You have to sit here for a while and listen to it. You have to sit here for a while and listen to the stream to hear what they have to say. And so I really recommend, if you go out into nature, it doesn't have to be somewhere as grand as this. I mean, I'm originally from the cornfields of Ohio, moved to Kentucky. I'm used to the cornfields. Go talk to the corn and tell it your story and see what it says back to you. And so this is why I'm a polytheist, an animist, whatever you want to say. This is why I connect to the old way of viewing things in our modern world. It's because our modern world needs a different way of looking at our relationship with our home. I have a lot of great things coming up, particularly filmed here in Scotland, including Glencoe, including a video called Language of the Land, talking about the ancient spirituality and belief of Scotland. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video here at the Wisdom of Odin. Get outside, honor nature, and become more of a part of this beautiful, beautiful world through our spiritual connection and understanding the language of the land.